got the most amazing global community anywhere in town tonight at the Ziegfeld Ballroom. Thank you for being here, and give yourselves a big round of applause. And thanks for your understanding. We don't usually serve dinner while we're continuing with the program, but out of respect for our heads of state, and respect for our honorees, thank you for going with the flow, which we all do this week in New York. I joined the Atlantic Council in January 2007 as president and CEO. You may remember more that year, Tom Brady in his 7th season with the New England Patriots set the National Football League record at the time with 50 touchdown passes. Yeah, that's right. And you probably noticed that neither one of us has aged since then either. So fast forward 18 years, never in my wildest imagination could I have thought that we would be sharing an Atlantic Council stage tonight with the GOAT, the greatest of all time in American football, or as Gianni Infantino would put it, American handball, honoring the leader of global football ahead of the 2026 World Cup, FIFA President Gianni Infantino. A big round of applause with our awardee, Gianni Infantino. And President Millet and Secretary Bessent, what a wonderful and moving portion of our program as well. So congratulations to you as well. We meet here at what we at the Atlantic Council call the 4th great inflection point of the last century. And listen to this, because I think sometimes we don't understand how high the stakes are right now. And they also didn't know it at these inflection points. The first came after World War I, the second after World War II, the third after the Cold War, the fourth is now. Hopefully after the successful end to Russia's illegal, unprovoked war in Ukraine, with a sovereign, secure, independent, and democratic Ukraine. As President Trump said this week, after meeting with President Zelensky, Ukraine is in a position to fight and win. After World War I, we failed in our efforts to create a freer, more prosperous, and more secure and more democratic world. With the failure of Versailles, the League of Nations, the failure of the League of Nations, and ultimately the rise of fascism, the outbreak of World War II, the Holocaust, and millions upon millions dead. After World War II, we succeeded wildly by taking the lessons of 2 world wars, and the founders of the Atlantic Council were around in that period of time. They had lived through the first 2 world wars. In their wisdom, they created the Atlantic Council, and they created the institutions of the international rules-based order that has served us until today, with all its flaws. Through the most successful and sustained period of freedom, prosperity, major power, peace, and security that the world has known. The period after the Cold War has been more of a mixed bag. Some very good, the enlargement of NATO and the European Union, and initially the integration into the world economy of China, which brought so much potential promise. But some bad. Wars in the Balkans, Russia's war in Ukraine, conflicts in the Middle East, and unfortunately, China's behavior backing Russia, Iran, and North Korea when it could have chosen a different path. That's the context for this evening, so powerfully laid out by Atlantic Council Chairman John Rogers at the outset of this evening. Last year, our honoree Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni put it this way, quote, "Patriotism is the best response to declinism. Defending our deep roots is a preconditioning for reaping ripe fruit. Learning from our past mistakes is the precondition for being better in the future. You are all actors in this moment, celebrating the brand of global citizenship that will help us navigate the shoals and steer safely to shore." In our audience this evening, we have more than 700 government, business, military, media, and civil society leaders from more than 40 countries, including 6 heads of state and government, 5 former honorees, including Kristalina Georgieva, the head of the IMF, Albert Bourla, the head of Pfizer. That's on top of more than a dozen ministers, more than 20 ambassadors, a whole herd of legislators, and more than 46 chief executives and chairpersons of significant global companies. You all have agency. You all can shape this future. Rounding this impressive list, we have more than 55 Atlantic Council board members and international advisory board members. So I'm very pleased that you're all here, and so please give yourselves a round of applause. In his farewell address to the nation in 1989, President Ronald Reagan, who history will treat as one of our greatest presidents, talked of America as a city on the hill, which we at the Atlantic Council would define as constructive American leadership on a hill alongside partners and allies, which throughout the last 8 decades has guided our community toward a future that is safer, brighter, and more prosperous. As our constituents know, what really sets the Atlantic Council apart, beside this incredible network, beside the mission that we stand for, beside the durability as nonpartisan, values-oriented organization, is our entrepreneurial spirit. A team that continues to add new projects to our arsenal. I won't list everything tonight that we've done new, but I'll scratch the surface with a few significant brand new initiatives that the Atlantic Council that underscore the energy and entrepreneurship that sets us apart. The first is the Bipartisan Commission on Biodefense, which will join the Atlantic Council in October.
RERA registration number, UP RERA, PRJ 763929/11/2024 dated 27th November 2024, website, www.uprera.in.
Established in 2014, the Commission is the preeminent body providing comprehensive assessment of U.S. biodefense efforts and fostering critical policy challenges that support prevention, deterrence, preparedness, response, and mitigation of human-generated and naturally occurring biological threats. It's the cutting edge. Chaired by former Secretary of Labor Donna Shalala, a Democrat, and former Secretary of Homeland Security and Governor of Pennsylvania Tom Ridge, a Republican, the Commission is the preeminent voice on biodefense issues in the country and will enhance our footprint in this key area of national security. So Donna, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm also pleased to announce a new partnership between the Atlantic Council and the Antenna Group, chaired by our International Advisory Board member. Yes, we have an Antenna Group constituency here, chaired by our International Advisory Board member and Antenna Group Chairman, Theodore Kyriakou. This very week, we will launch the inaugural Alliance for Europe-Gulf Geopolitics and Investment Summit, which the acronym is from those letters is AEGIS. So it's the regular spelling of AEGIS with an extra G. This ambitious undertaking aims to strengthen EU Gulf strategic and economic relations. No such organization right now exists at a critical moment for both regions and their partners around the world. So Theo, thank you so much. And we recently launched the Atlantic Council's newest office in Romania, launched this summer thanks to the generous support of our founding partners, many in the room tonight. Thank you, Teofil Muresan, Radu Piturla, Catalan Podoro, Soren Preda, and Cornelio Bodea. Thank you so much for being here. And mark your calendars for the 2026 Global Energy Forum in Washington, D.C. on June 9th, 2026. It's our, I think we've done about a dozen of those. There are too many in the audience to thank for this, but Landon Durrance is leading this charge, building on this year's impressive forum, which featured 1,500 participants from 95 countries. You won't want to miss it. And finally, we intend to build new work energized this evening around the power of sport to unify and galvanize common cause. So thank you, Gianni, for inspiring us to go in this direction. And then I'm just going to thank three groups of people. First of all, those of you in the room tonight who have generously contributed to the namespaces within our global headquarters in Washington. And you can look at the screen and see the names of those. As we round out our first year in this innovative new space, I'm deeply grateful for your investment in the Atlantic Council. It speaks volumes about the trust and belief you put into this. And you can see the names on the screens behind me for the impressive roster of individuals who are responsible for this. And by the way, there's still spaces available in the building for naming, if any of you would like to step up. As we celebrate the achievements of tonight's honorees, I also want to salute the leadership of another distinguished group of individuals. As is our tradition, I want to thank, and I want them to stand, the 2024 Global Citizen Dinner co-chairs. It's the largest group in our history of this dinner, some 50 of you in all. So turn to the screen, you can see the name of all of them, but please stand all dinner co-chairs as we applaud you. And then the other tradition, and here I really hope you'll stand and applaud even louder, and there's some overlap with the first group. The board, the International Advisory Board, the staff of the Atlantic Council, it's one of the greatest honors of my life after my family and my wife to work alongside you. So thank you so much, and please rise so we can thank you as well. So with that, please turn your attention to the screen for the next portion of tonight's program.
The only way to overcome the challenges we have, the challenges of our times, will be to go together, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. We must stand firmly and fight to make our principles prevail. We will fight till the very last minute in order to get the ceasefire to build this robust and sustainable peace. Europeans will never abandon Ukraine, never. I believe in building a better future for our children, which requires offering them a planet that is still habitable in 25 years.
De décider d'investir contre des injustices. C'est ça le combat que nous avons collectivement à mener. Vive la République et vive la France!
Papa, I'm hungry.
Let's see.
No, only 2 gram protein. 0 gram protein. 16 gram protein. Yes!
प्रोटीन तो बहाना है, इन्हें गोदरेज यमीज खाना है। 16 grams प्रोटीन वाला गोदरेज यमीज।
Best ऐसा।
आर्किटेक्ट जी, something special for you. बिरला ओपस assurance देने के लिए।
ऐसा क्या है इसमें?
एडवांस्ड क्वालिटी। 1 साल में पेंट को कुछ भी हुआ तो पेंटिंग वापस करके देंगे
वापस करके देंगे।
वो भी फ्री क्वालिटी पे इतना कॉन्फिडेंस इसीलिए बिरला ओपस अश्योरेंस रजिस्टर करो birlaopus.com पर
Please welcome the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of BlackRock, Larry Fink.
There we go. Hi, everyone. I can't see the screen that well because it's too low or I'm too tall. Can somebody fix this? Anyway, let me just start up and say it's a real honor to be here today. And importantly, at a time of so much uncertainty, at a time where there's so much misunderstanding, there's a need more than ever before of having conversations, having an understanding. And organizations like the Atlantic Council provide a forum for that. And we need to preserve organizations that build deeper understandings through conversation. And more importantly, for democracy, understanding and conversation is essential. And I hope we all, as leaders of governments, leaders of companies, and everybody in the room, thank you for that, by the way, everybody in the room focuses on how can we play a part in making sure that we are building democracy in a way that we can build greater prosperity, but more importantly, prosperity for more, and broadening the future of democracy and the future of capitalism. And if we don't do that, the other outcomes are going to be far worse. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to offer a few thoughts to a man who I've admired for many years, somebody we've shared conversations, somebody that there's one thing that Emmanuel Macron and I have in common. We both started our careers in finance. The difference is he got out. And for all of us and for the country of France, the Republic of France, he became the president of France. Whereas I'm here standing and making a presentation to him with the award. But in all seriousness, you can make an argument, and I will pound the table with this argument, that no French leader has led his country at a more pivotal time since World War II. For years, many people in this room were worried about Europe, and Europe was defined by stagnation. But today, when I visit France, when I meet the business leaders of France, when I meet the government of France, I hear something so different. I hear questions. How are we going to start building and growing again? How are we going to broaden our economy so more members of the French economy can enjoy and build and be prosperous? How do we make sure that French citizens share the prosperity being created around the world instead of watching it pass by? And we need to do this in more and more countries, making sure we broaden our economies that more prosper. France is asking those questions because of one man, Emmanuel Macron. He is the one who's pushing the country forward. And it's not been easy. And at times, as we all know, it's hard. He has always been unusually clear-eyed about what the future demands, a greater appetite for risk, making bold decisions, making more innovation work, and making sure that all 27 countries of Europe build together with strength and vitality. It's been too long that Europe has been growing slower than the United States and other democracies. And I do have a view that President Macron is one of the key leaders in trying to make that happen, and he's succeeding. I think he's an example for more. He's an example for business people to maybe go into a new career. But importantly, He is really redefining the role of globalization and how globalization can work for more. And globalization really should not be abandoned, and economic prosperity will be through that process. You see that in a way he has emerged as a defender of NATO and a real defining peacemaker for Ukraine. President Macron has reminded us that peace in Europe is never just a European project. It is what holds the world together. After all this, that is why Paris is the city of light, not because it is the first to install gas lamps on its street corners, but because when the world has needed France, France has illuminated the way out of darkness towards something better. As we know here, the foundation of America has been so based on France, based on democracy from France, which brings me to the name of this award, Global Citizen. It's not a phrase, it's not a single definition, but it's how and what. A global citizen is not someone without a country, it is someone who is loved in the country and so deeply believes in his country and lifts more people. And that by that measure, Emmanuel Macron is the very definition of a global citizen, but a true global leader. And I'm proud that I'm up here today introducing the President of France, Emmanuel Macron.
ट्रस्टेड लॉयर शर्मा जी ने अपने दीवारों पर जेके मैक्स पेंट्स क्या लगवाया? अजीब अजीब बहाने लेकर आने लगे पड़ोसी उनका घर देखने।
हाय शर्मा जी, एक रील बना लूं उस ब्यूटीफुल सी वॉल के पास।
हमारा टॉम ही नहीं मिल रहा, यहाँ आया होगा।
मुझे गर्मा गर्म पकौड़े।
जेके मैक्स पेंट्स, खुशियों के रंग।
Get the biggest deals on the Redmi Pad 2, starting from just rupees 11,999.
It's a big deal.
This Diwali with Xiaomi, get up to 45% off on smartphones, up to 30% off on tablets, and a 3-year comprehensive warranty on QLED TVs.
Xiaomi.
It seems that he just took the prize for himself. Thank you very much. I want to thank first Laurie for your kind words, and Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Tonight, we are celebrating a strong and lasting friendship. A big, beautiful friendship, would say a friend of mine. And at the very beginning, I didn't understand exactly why I was awarded tonight with my great friends, Gianni and Javier. It was a little strange to me, and I started to think about that, and probably it was because three of us are soccer fans, or Gianni, football fans. Boca Junior, Inter de Milan, and l'Olympique de Marseille. And it's true that I remember a great final in 2018. It's another time in another world, but we were in Russia, believe it or not, with Gianni Infantino, and France won the World Cup. And in 2022, it was in Qatar, and I don't remember the end of this game. I'm sorry, Javier. More seriously, I want to thank the Atlantic Council for this great honor tonight and this Global Citizen Award. I have a very elaborated speech by my team, but I think at the end of this dinner, I will kill you if I just read the speech. So let me just share a few thoughts on how to take such a prize and which type of call to action I got from it. I would say when we speak about global citizenship in the current world, it could be a big problem for you because being global is not so good for a leader today. And let me first say, but it was perfectly phrased by my predecessors here, that you can be a global leader, deeply rooted. And you can believe in patriotism and defend your country without being a nationalist. And this is a big difference. And the big difference is that being full of patriotism makes you loving your country, but without attacking the others, which is the main difference with a nationalist guy. And this is why I'm here in front of you as a clear patriot for France, but as a strong advocate for Europe and a strong believer in global cooperation and in this global order. And I'm quite well known in France for the en même temps, which means at the same time. And a lot of people reproach me to have a sort of ambiguity with that. No, you can refuse to make stupid choices and you can refuse stupid alternatives. You can love your country and love to cooperate with the others. This is just a matrix of being a global citizen. Now, after the Second World War, we built all together, and this is clearly the DNA of our United Nations. We built this order to have peace, prosperity, and democracy. And these three core ideas and concepts are the ones at stake today. And in order not just to protect them, but to be sure that ourselves and our children will benefit from peace, prosperity, and democracy, this is the very moment where we will have to work very hard and cooperate all together. Peace first. Let's be clear. When you look at the situation today, there is a huge risk to live in a world where this is the end of the rule of law, where this is the end of our UN Charter. You mentioned, and I want to thank you for that, the aggression war launched by Russia in Ukraine. And let me tell you, this is not just the war of Ukrainian people. They are so brave, and we all admire them tonight. And please applaud them. This is obviously an existential war for the Europeans because this is our security which is at stake. But this is a war for everybody in this world. Because if you remain passive, if you don't react to this aggression war against the sovereignty, the territorial integrity of Ukrainian people, it means just that you renounce to the UN Charter. And the day after, what is your guarantee not to live in the Wild West? Nothing. So our duty as free nations, as member of these United Nations, it's clearly to back the Ukrainians in this resistance, to back the Ukrainians in order not just to resist, but to recover their territory and their integrity. This is why we worked very hard with so many colleagues and allies to build this coalition of the willing together with the UK Prime Ministers, and we are 35 nations working for the day after on security guarantees for Ukraine. But this is why, as well, we have to step up to help the Ukrainians to resist in this time. And this is the core of the discussion we had yesterday with President Trump, and we agreed to say, Russia is not the one you believe in. Russia is not so strong. Look at the situation in more than 1,000 days. They just took 1% of the Ukrainian territory. If we decide that Russia has to come back at the table of negotiation and accept to respect Ukraine as a free country, we can do it. So we strongly believe in peace, but not a peace which will be in a certain way a surrender for Ukraine, a robust and solid peace compliant with our international order and our UN Charter. This is our objective, and this is what we will deliver.
GoDaddy has the perfect hosting plan for any website, from low-cost shared hosting to your own virtual server. Every plan comes with a 99.9% uptime guarantee along with a free domain name and award-winning support. No wonder we are the world's #1 web host. Unlock your online potential today with GoDaddy.
But this is as well what is at stake in Middle East. And let me just say a few words on Middle East tonight here. Because if we want to be global citizens, if we believe that we live in a global order, we should never accept a double standard. And what is the credibility of the Europeans or others to say it's very important to respect territorial integrity of the Ukrainians? It's very important to respect the principles of the UN Charter, but not to have a single word for Middle East, not to have a single word for what's happening in Gaza. We kill our credibility with such an approach. It's not understood in the rest of the world, because what is at stake is a human life. This is why we do condemn with strength the terrible terrorist attacks, the 7th of October 2023, launched by the Hamas, a terrorist group. This is why our top priority today is the release of all hostages. And at the time of Rosh Hashanah, I have a special thought for all the families of these 48 hostages and all the families being victims of the 7th of October. But this is why we have to call, we can oppose them. But this is why we have to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza as well, for clearly humanitarian action, and to stop this war without end. This is why we proposed 2 days ago with Saudi Arabia, not just the recognition of Palestine made by 11 countries from Canada, UK to Australia and France, but a peace and security plan for all backed by 142 countries, which is first, the release of hostages, the ceasefire, second, the stabilization of Gaza and the dismantling of Hamas, and third, a two-state solution, which is the only way to have Palestinian people living in peace in a Palestinian state, being demilitarized, recognizing Israel, Israel recognizing the state, and having all the neighbors, and especially those which today don't recognize Israel, recognizing it. This is just the only way forward to have peace and sustainability for Israeli people. And this is as well precisely what the United Nations voted 78 years ago. No double standard, no double standard. Believe me, this is part of our credibility. I cannot mention tonight all the wars, but this is always the same thing we have to do, working hard together, cooperating, and fixing the situation to build peace and sustainable peace. If we speak about prosperity, this is the same. In order to deliver such an agenda, we need more cooperation. I don't believe we can fix the global imbalances of this world by fighting each other or fragmenting the economic global order. We do have global imbalances. Lack of domestic demand in China, lack of investment in Europe, more need of money and investment into key challenges in Africa and LATAM, and over-indebtedness in some sectors here. But the only way to fix it is precisely to resynchronize this debate and to cooperate as we did when we launched the G7 more than 50 years ago. And it will be called for our G7 agenda next year, but we have clearly to work together in order to deliver this agenda of prosperity. And this is why IMF and World Bank, their crystallinize, are so important in this agenda, because in this very moment, we have first to accelerate our growth policy in our economies, more innovation, more simplification, big acceleration in order to deliver more growth. But as well, we have to deliver a more balanced world. And this is why we need stronger instruments, public and private, in order at the same time to deliver our tech, green tech, and climate agenda. We will kill the global order if we just are focused on deregulation in our economy without any solidarity with our vis-à-vis the other members of the UN, and if we don't deliver our climate agenda. And we should remain focused on this agenda. It's very important. And this is not because I would say the global discussion seems to change, that we will be citizen of another world. There is no planet B. And this is why when we speak about prosperity, we need more growth, more innovation, more redistribution, and fixing climate change by innovation and decarbonization of our economies. No other choice. And the last one is about democracy, obviously. It seems to be so naive to speak about democracy. But look at our democracies. I'm not so sure we're in a good shape. Look at the violence in our societies. Javier mentioned that. Look at the rise of the extremes and the permanent disorder of democracies where there is a sort of legitimation of excessive words, hate speech, and so on. The basics of democracy is because you can vote, because you can change your leaders, because you vote for your laws, you need respect and peaceful debates. And we are losing these basics. And let me just share one conviction when we speak about democracies in this country, but in mine as well. We will have to work very hard on social media. Our democracies were not conceived for the social media. And this is a huge issue. And we were definitely too naive. Our young people and teenagers are hurt by this social media. It's now well documented. But if we speak about mental health of our teenagers and young people, just look at the social media and what happens. From bullying to obsession of some references, but this is making their life impossible. We have to protect them for our democracies. We already have a sacrificed generation, the one who started with the social media in 2015. We are not allowed to remain passive. But more than that, look at all of us. We were educated to learn about the world, to try to be educated and to digest some information sometimes in the day, and to try to think about what's happening, to live in a global shared world. Now, from the morning till the end, we eat this permanent food delivered by the social media. And the merit order is the argument is lower. Emotion is much stronger, and negative emotion is much, much higher, because everything is driven by an algorithm. I don't know, you don't know, but made on purpose to create excitement, engagement, and guess what? Money. I don't want my democracy to be driven by an algorithm whose unique purpose is to create this excitement and to spread crazy contents, because it's just killing the possibility of a common discussion. It's just pushing people to the extremes. It's just killing our common approach of a common world and a shared world. And it's just framing our democracies in favor of the extremes. Our democracies are at risk because we are too naive with something which is quite well organized. So let me tell you that if we want to be efficient and remain democracy, speaking about democratic values in a few years' time in this room, we should act and we should regulate. And the regulation of social network is not a bad word. This is just a necessity. To work together on peace, prosperity, and democracy, we need this strong alliance, especially between the United States and France, the United States and Europe. This is our history. This is history from Lafayette to the First World War and the Second World War, and we are here together. And I want to conclude by telling you how much this partnership is important and how much you need here in the US, a stronger Europe. Sometimes people thought that having a stronger Europe was something detrimental to the transatlantic relation. This is the opposite. Having a strong Europe, Europe as a power, a financial, an economic, a military power, is just having a Europe which shares the same values as the US, but is able to take its fair part, its fair share in this global order. But we have to work together very hard. And each time we diverge, this is the time where we are less efficient to fix a war, less efficient to build a sustainable prosperity, less efficient to work and improve our democracies. I was already too long, and I do apologize for that. But as you understand, I strongly believe that this cooperation between our countries is the only way to remain global citizens in this current environment. As for the rest and beyond cooperation, partnership and friendship, leave it to the football field, dear Jenny. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Please welcome Atlantic Council Executive Vice Chair, Adrian Arsht.
What an evening. Let me tell you now about our closing performance. Regardless of what country you're from, the language you speak, or if you're an avid opera fan or not. We're all familiar with this last song, Nessun Dorma. And if you ever wondered what it means no one sleeps. It's from the last act of Turandot. And as in all operas, the plot is convoluted, messy, and a bit nonsensical. So I'm not here to tell you about the opera, but I do want to tell you why Nessun Dorma has such relevance this evening. First of all, it was sung at the FIFA World Cup in 1990 by Luciano Pavarotti. And the concept of sleep, or that no one sleeps, certainly describes the tireless role of our two honorees, President Macron and President Millet. Tonight, we're privileged to hear one of opera's brightest stars. He's from Turkey. He has thrilled audiences on major stages with a voice that blends
क्या देखती हैं आप अपने डरावने सपनों में?
मैं देखती हूँ जैसे ही मेहमान घर आए तभी दीवारों के सारे छुपाए हुए दाग धब्बे बाहर आ गए।
आपको चाहिए इंस्टेंट इलाज।
JK Max Paints Wipe Easy।
मेरा ट्रस्टेड वॉशेबल पेंट विद स्टेन गार्ड टेक्नोलॉजी।
JK Max Paints Wipe Easy Washable Paint. अब stains का गेम ओवर।
आप दांतों की झंझनाहट की वजह से आइसक्रीम नहीं खा पा रहे हैं तो रोजाना 5 मिनट विठोबा आयुर्वेदिक दंत मंजन लगाइए और दांतों की झंझनाहट, मसूड़ों की सूजन और सांस की बदबू से छुटकारा पाइए। विठोबा आयुर्वेदिक दंत मंजन, जड़ से जुड़ो।